From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
For moving pork around the world or right here at home.
We can tell that story with a lot of confidence that we are a part of the solution and not necessarily part of a problem.
Two pork producers share their unique perspective on what they're doing to increase the bottom line. Walmart makes another big investment in beef as milk prices remain under pressure.
Milk prices plummet from last year. We'll talk about why coming up.
Could we see a market rebound soon? Right now on AgDay. Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. It's a tough time right now for the U.S. dairy industry. We showed you this last week. Some dairy producers and haulers having to dump milk due to the market being flooded with it. On top of that, milk prices have declined dramatically. AgDay's Michelle Rook joins us. And Michelle, just how much have prices dropped and how was that impacting dairy producers?
Milk prices have fallen substantially from some of the record prices dairy producers saw in 2022. After hitting a record high for Class 3 fluid milk in April 2022 at nearly $26, the June milk futures have plunged to new contract lows, set on Tuesday at $15.07 per hundredweight.
Last year was close to almost $10 difference on the milk price, and right now we're overproducing. From the processing side and for the use side.
Exports have also slowed off their record pace. So with the current low milk prices and high feed costs, that puts many dairy operations below the cost of production.
Well, if you want to use $15.50 as your mailbox price, you're losing $5-6 a hundredweight anyway, and it may be even more depending on when you put in your silage. You know, if you were buying it last fall and corn prices were really high.
As a result, dairy margin coverage and dairy revenue coverage insurance payments kicked in at the start of the year, but it doesn't make producers whole.
It helps a little bit, but it's more for if you have less cows. For us, we do DRP, that's another insurance, and that's better for us than the DMC.
2022 is a very profitable year, so there hasn't been much cow liquidation yet. But if milk prices remain low, some operations may be forced to cull. The hope is that will slowly help the market rebound. I'm Michelle Rook reporting for AgDay.
All right, thanks, Michelle. A developing story we're following. Walmart announcing it plans to build a case-ready beef facility in Kansas. It would be built in Olathe. The company saying in a release this would be its first owned and operated case-ready facility. It says it's set to break ground later this year and would create more than 600 Walmart jobs in the Olathe area. Once opened, it says the new facility in Kansas will package and distribute a selection of Angus cuts from sustainable beef in North Platte, Nebraska. It would serve stores across the Midwest. Now, the facility is slated to open in 2025. A big merger in the ag industry. Bunge is officially buying Viterra. The combined company will create a trading giant capable of competing with the biggest players in agriculture. Now, they'd be worth a combined $34 billion. It is expected to boost Bunge's grain and soft seed handling capacity while expanding origination capabilities in key regions and crops where Bunge is underrepresented. Viterra shareholders will own about 30% of the combined business after the deal is completed. The deal is expected to close in the middle of next year. The lower Mississippi Valley and Southeast are in for a lot of rain. Meteorologist Matt Engelbrecht joins us with more.
That's exactly right, Clint. We were talking about the last couple of days and also going back to last week, the way the pattern was going to set up regarding the jet stream. We'd open up the Gulf of Mexico with the available moisture, but also cap a lot of these storm systems back down here to the south. I say a lot. I don't know what I'm talking about is a one or two. We got the moisture swinging counterclockwise up around an upper level low, pulling in that Gulf moisture, and you can see how everything kind of trails from the west to the east increasing in precipitation estimates. So starting off with about 2 to 3 inches of rainfall back here north of the Mississippi River, and then back into the southeast, the deep south into Georgia, even into Florida a little bit, and make it upwards about 5, possibly 8 inches of rainfall. That, of course, is something we're going to look in detail coming up in just a little bit. First, need you to check this out. This is coming in from Colorado. Boulder communities had to deal with severe thunderstorms earlier this week. The city of Boulder was hit with intense rain and hail, leading to street flooding in the central part of the city. Now look at this, just a river of water and hail going down the street. It's estimated about 3.5 inches of rain fell in a short amount of time. I'd love to get 3.5 inches of rainfall spread out across the areas that need it. We'll double check what's going on with that forecast in just a bit.
Brazil's big soybean crop appears to be even bigger. CONAB is raising its Brazilian soybean production forecast around 900,000 metric tons from last month to a record of 155.7 million metric tons. The export forecast was also increased 600,000 metric tons to a record 95.7 million metric tons. USDA also updating its numbers for South America in the June World Soybean Outlook.
We lowered Argentina's soybean production by 2 million tons, and we raised Brazil's soybean production by 1 million tons.
The big increases in Brazil are due to better weather, and it's cutting into export demand for U.S. corn and soybeans right now. USDA is allocating more money to bring high-speed internet access to rural America. The latest grants and loans add up to $714 million and will be given out across 19 states. The money coming from the bipartisan infrastructure law, which included $65 billion for internet connectivity. You can see the states receiving this latest round of funding on this map. In all, USDA says it has supported 142 Reconnect program projects.
Approximately $714 million being announced today over 33 projects in 19 states. The resources are divided between grants and loans, approximately $421 million in grants, approximately $293 million in loans.
Now it's hoped the Reconnect project will bring high-speed internet access to 314,000 rural Americans. Crop condition ratings pushing soybean prices up 30 cents during the trading day. We'll see how things closed coming up next. For pork producers, prices aren't what they were a couple of years ago. We'll meet some Ohio producers looking to find new demand in the country. Inflation appears to have slowed down a bit. The latest consumer price index rising just 0.1% from April to May. That brings the annual level down to 4% from 4.9% in April. Now the pullback was driven by lower gas prices, a much smaller rise in grocery prices, and less expensive furniture, airfares, and appliances. The key numbers arriving just one day before the Federal Reserve is expected to announce it's leaving interest rates alone after imposing 10 straight rate hikes. Soybeans having a big day Tuesday after the latest crop ratings slipped. Nearby futures topping $14 during the session. Michelle Rook is back with more in Markets Now.
Cattle and row crop futures ending mostly higher on Tuesday. Brad Koima with Koima Varlick is joining us. And Brad, corn and soybeans kind of pushed at least initially on Tuesday by lower crop ratings and weather, but it looked like soybean oil also contributed to the strength.
Absolutely. A couple of good reasons I thought today to get it going. Crop ratings, first of all, even a little bit further decline than what maybe the market expectations were. Not a terribly different forecast, but certainly one that wasn't any wetter than we went home with on Friday. But I thought too, I tried to track down the reason for this vegetable oil deal. Why palm oil, canola oil? I don't know. Sometimes the market just gets out of balance, and I think that maybe is part of it. Why that vegetable oil complex had gotten a bit cheap here, and it's certainly come roaring back. And I think that was certainly part of the way we started here for sure. On the beans and the corn, we didn't close particularly spiffy, at least not on the corn, however.
Yeah, let's talk about that because we ran up into chart resistance, but because we're in a weather market, is it possible we'll go back and take those areas out or not?
It is. I have a tendency to grab my chart book more in these weather kind of markets because no one can predict what the next forecast is going to be, of course. But I thought, on the corn, first of all, July corn being 4 3/4 lower, with strong basis, tight old crop. I mean, if there's a market that has a reason fundamentally to be good, it seems to me like it's July corn, and it's lost its way here a little bit. A lot of basis switching to using September. It's almost like the commercial saying, well, we're good. We're going to get our way past July. And I don't think that that's particularly positive. I thought the November beans where they stopped today was one of those, those a couple of reasons to stop there, and not a great spot to stop if you're bullish. We'll see if the weather's good enough tomorrow to take it out or not. I would say probably not.
Cattle market had some nice recovery. Do you think we have a short-term top in or not? Will we retrace that area?
Well, you asked me this morning, and I thought yes then, and I guess I'll stick to my guns now. We did have our third day up, some of the months 2 days, some of the months 3 days up against this, what was that great big reversal down last week, which I have to respect. Big reversal off of important levels, obviously. We had big volume. We had follow through the following day. And I think you have a time here where seasonally you look at the expectation would be that the beef would start to slow up and that our weights would begin to rise a little bit. So I know we're severely discounted. I've been friendly to the market a long while. I just feel like pushing the pause button here for a minute.
Thanks for joining us, Brad Koima with Koima Barlick, and that's markets. Now more AgDay coming up.
Let's go through our Wednesday and into our Thursday. Things will start to quiet down regarding the wind gusts, specifically Thursday night and into Friday. So that's why I wanted to stop the wind gust forecast at Thursday at 11 p.m. The kind of image that we're painting is a big blank spot over the good portion of the United States, including the Midwest back down here to the south, as one system exits, the one that brought, like we looked at earlier, is going to bring a lot of rainfall here into the southeast. Another one starts to move in. So you start to see the pinks, the purples back up here to the northwest. Good indication of the next storm system taking shape and the energy coming in from the northwest. That's going to increase some rain chances across the nation this weekend with a bit of a break coming in Thursday and Friday. So let's go and take a look at that precipitation estimate. So again, the next 24 hours, this is through today and your Thursday night. You'll see that first system move through with rainfall amounts greater than about 2 inches plus into portions of the southeast, even greater into Georgia, with that next piece of energy taking shape back up here to the northwest. So this is again 7 p.m. on Thursday. We expect that energy to dive down, but it's going to be a little bit more shallow than this last one. Quick check of that drought monitor. I expect some changes early Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon when we check it right here on AgDay. Some changes to the drought monitor, but still need some help into Omaha, Tulsa. That includes Oklahoma, Nebraska, and also back up into the Dakotas, where we're still dry and moderate with that drought. So we're going to be monitoring that next couple of days. One thing we're going to look at is the precipitation outlook, June 18th. Through the 22nd. There's that bullseye, heavy downpours or some heavy rainfall into the southeast, and then back up towards the United States-Canadian border with that next piece of energy starting to move through. Let's go take a look at Cleveland, not Ohio. Strong storms, high around 83 degrees, low of about 69 degrees. Over on the west coast, Oregon, Ontario, not Canada, mostly sunny, high around 78 degrees, and Rice Lake, Wisconsin, staying sunny.
Pork week may be over, but challenges remain for producers focused on turning a profit. We'll talk about that next. And later, good prices require good markets. We'll meet a couple of Ohio pork producers hoping to build market momentum today in the country. Weather is fueling the grain markets again, and it's adding more pain to pork producers who are already looking at losses of $40 per head. Now, one livestock economist fears the situation may be worse than 1998. As we told you last week, pork exports continue to be explosive this year. Last week, the U.S. Meat Export Federation said pork exports in April were up 15% year over year. Even with strong export demand, domestic demand has struggled. Add to that anticipated impacts of Proposition 12, and hog prices continue to fall, with August lean hog futures down $20 since the start of the year. All of this is happening at a time when pig farmers are paying an average of 35% more for inputs like feed compared to 2019.
It's certainly going to be a painful year for pork producers. Lee Schultz's estimated costs and returns at Iowa State would indicate that right now, based on futures prices, this year may be worse than 1998 from a profit standpoint. So You can't stand that forever, and I think we're going to have some major adjustments in the industry going forward, unless we see some really big shift in demand back to where we were in 21 and 22.
Now, Meyer forecasts margins to be in the red for the next 2 to 4 years, and that could push U.S. pork producers to cut back, ultimately producing less pork. Tyson Foods announcing another round of layoffs. This time, 228 corporate employees in Illinois will be impacted. Tyson says the employees declined to relocate to its Arkansas headquarters. The cuts will eliminate about 46% of the total staff from 2 offices, including layoffs at its other offices in South Dakota. The company will be eliminating about 490 corporate employees who didn't want to move. Now, it has about 1,000 corporate workers. So how can pork producers boost demand here at home? We'll talk with 2 producers with 2 very different plans in the country.
In the Country on Ag Day is brought to you by Pivot Bio. What if you had the nitrogen you need already on seed? Pivot Bio is the first company to apply nitrogen on seed. The nitrogen you need, now on seed, from Pivot Bio. Learn more at pivotbio.com.
There's no denying demand is a major driver for the U.S. pork industry. Farm Journal's Tyne Morgan followed 2 pork producers and their different journeys as they work to create a bigger market for U.S. pork.
Take a trip across Ohio and you'll meet 2 pork producers whose journeys to the farm have been on 2 very different paths. Philip Horde, born and raised on his Ohio family's farm, and Jessica Campbell, a first-generation farmer.
I am one of the family members that has been farming in our community for over 100 years.
The background of our farm is that it was started, we say, with Hogs and Hope in 2013.
Jessica's journey started when she bought her first 55 acres and rented it out for row crops, but her dream was to be a farmer herself.
The pork is a little different. It's in the woodlot. They have 11 acres to run, but also a barn to go into as well, primarily Berkshire and Duroc.
And in 2013, she made the switch to go niche, and Carroll Creek Farms was born.
Being that we're between Cincinnati and Dayton, we knew if we were going to be an operational farm for a legacy, more than just our generation, we needed to have it work with the ecosystem here, which is ever urbanizing.
It's not just how the animals are raised that can be unique, but also how the meat is sold.
We have our home farm open to the public every day, 7 days a week, where we just trust people. So they come down our driveway, and we have the honor system where they can check themselves out and grab whatever meats they need for the day and take off.
For Horde, his family's pig farm is more traditional, a larger operation in north central Ohio. Horde didn't know if farming was even what he wanted to do.
One of the things I did when I got into college was really do some searching on what I liked.
When he first came back, his main focus was production. That's until the 5th-generation pig farmer carved out his own specialty, finding ways to serve up more demand for pork.
Talking directly to retailers and food service individuals that are out there making decisions about where our product goes is very important, because without them and without their work and our product getting on the shelves, we wouldn't be a viable industry. We wouldn't have a business and a farm here.
Whether it's having conversations with retailers or bringing groups out to their farm, Horde is a true believer in pulling the curtain back on their operation.
Our opinion and our perspective on that is that why not be connected and why not be involved and be a resource and answer questions.
While Horde and Campbell's operations may look different, driving demand is where their paths intersect. Campbell isn't just a pig farmer herself, but an ag lender, a mom of 2, with another on the way. And she sees ground pork as a huge opportunity for growth. Campbell serves on the National Pork Board, traveling internationally to help develop those connections and relationships worldwide.
The importers really wanted a personalized story about our farm.
Campbell focuses on demand around the globe, while Horde is looking to grow that hunger for U.S. pork here at home.
They're genuinely curious to find that a lot of our farms are going to be what we believe to be carbon neutral, if not carbon negative. And that's a really awesome story to be able to tell.
Horde says their farm can now put numbers behind that story.
So things through technologies, different processes and procedures we've done on the farm and we've learned over time, we can tell that story with a lot of confidence that we are a part of the solution and not necessarily part of a problem.
As a young producer, Horde knows the work he's doing now could bring even more people to the table, hungry for U.S. pork.
People, pigs, and planet, I think, are really important major topics.
And it's building that confidence among consumers that could live on for generations to come, even on their own farms.
When we're out there doing the hard work and building this business from scratch, it's really not as much about our generation, but setting up those boys for the next generation and ensuring that they have a viable operation to come back to.
All right, thanks, Tyne. And that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure you guys tuned in. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Griffiths. Have a great day.